So that's
Uh, all right, welcome everybody, guys. Today we are talking about, how you can make money as a registered nurse, as a foreign medical graduate from the comfort of your home. And here with me, we have people from Novell Training Services, and we have Linda. Linda is one of the people that just recently graduated from the course, and she is currently working her job right from the comfort of her home. So she will be talking to us about how she feels about the entire process today, and then we will have Novell Training Services at the beginning of the program tell us what the program is all about, how nurses who have migrated to the United States, United Kingdom, or anywhere, maybe United States, for instance, can actually make some money from the comfort of their home, the process, the objectives, and things that you need to know about clinical documentation improvement practice in the US. So guys, stay with us, stay tuned. I'm just going to usher in our guest for today. His name is Dr. Oluwole. Dr. Oluwole has been a medical doctor from Nigeria, currently here in the US. She's a senior CDI specialist. So he is going to be giving us a lot of information about CDI practice here in the US. We're still expecting some members of his team. So guys, let's listen to him as he takes on the course. God bless you as you listen. Go ahead, Dr. Oluwole. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Mr. Decency. And thank
All
you
right.
for taking this time for us to quickly enlighten people about CDS because again, let me start by introducing myself. I'm Dr. Wale Adugwashile, and my journey into clinical documentation integrity practice, some people will refer to it as clinical documentation specialist. And my journey has been very interesting. And not just that it's been interesting, it's also the fact that I've actually been able to help a lot of nurses and a lot of foreign medical doctors get into this world of clinical documentation practice. It's a way to uh, still make use of your clinical skills, and at the same time you have that luxury of being able to work from home. Many of the jobs actually allow you to work from home, and you're bringing the skills that you already have as a doctor, the skills that you already have as a registered nurse to the table. And beyond that, you're actually seeing the impact for every case that you look at, for every case that you review. You're actually seeing what impact you're making in the quality of care of the patient, and also in the revenue that you generate for whatever hospital that you're working with as well. So, all right, 1 second. Okay, so what I have here is that sometimes you hear people talk about clinical documentation improvement. Sometimes this field is referred to as clinical documentation integrity. And you might be talking to somebody else and they will tell you, I work as a CDS. CDS stands for Clinical Documentation Specialist. So today I'm just going to be quickly talking about what CDI is, who is a CDI, what are the things that you need to have before you can smoothly transition into the world of a clinical documentation specialist, and what are your prospects as well in the United States. So just to start with, I have some abbreviations here, but as I go through them, I'm going to actually be telling you what each one means. So as a big to start with, clinical documentation integrity, or CDI. What it does is that, you see, every time a provider sees a patient, like if a doctor sees a patient now, there's a way the doctor is going to write the diagnosis, but the people who pay for that encounter, we refer to them as the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS in short. CMS, they are looking for specific things when they want to process that payment. So what CDI does is that we try to find a balance between what the providers have written down and what the people who want to assess the quality of care, who want to assess how much they should pay. We want to make sure that both of them are speaking the same thing. Now, usually when I talk to people about clinical documentation, I try to give practical examples. Examples like, let's say a patient has come to the hospital today, and that patient presented with shortness of breath, and the oxygen saturation was probably 80%. And the doctor has treated the patient with about 6 liters of oxygen. They decided to give maybe the patient was placed on BiPAP for about 24 to 48 hours. And when the doctor was writing in his note, he put down hypoxia. Now, compare the same scenario to one where you've also treated the patient the same way, but by the time the doctor is writing, the doctor writes acute hypoxic respiratory failure. I'm sure you and I will agree that acute hypoxic respiratory failure accurately depicts the problem that this patient has and the resources that have been used to treat the patient much more than if you just say the patient had hypoxia. And that's what we try to do. So we try to bridge the gap between what CMS requires and the language that provider uses. So we review medical records and we make sure that everything the doctor has written, everything the provider has written is accurate, and it also depicts the resources that the patient is using. If you have a patient who is on admission and that patient is looking emaciated, the BMI is maybe 14, they are giving additional nutrition, maybe using gastrostomy tube. Nutritionists are seeing the patient, for example, but nobody is documenting that the patient has malnutrition. So when you look at it, you see that the resources for malnutrition has been used, but the diagnosis has not been documented. So those are the kind of things that we look at in the medical records and we try to weed out. So we make sure that when a doctor has documented something in the health records, we make sure that it accurately represents the acuity, the severity, and the risk of mortality of the patient. So this is important beyond just the payment. It's also important to improve the quality of care of this patient. You know, you can have a situation where somebody is presented with, for example, a patient has pneumonia, but beyond the pneumonia, the patient also has elevated white cell count. The heart rate is very, very elevated. The respiratory rate is elevated. Procalcitonin, lactic acid is high. I know I'm throwing out a lot of medical words, but let's just picture that scenario. You'll be thinking maybe this patient has something much more than pneumonia. So sometimes we might want to ask the question from the doctor to say, look, do you think there's an additional diagnosis when you look at all these other problems? So maybe this patient has sepsis. And if you get if you get an appropriate response from the doctor, now the next time the provider is seeing the patient, is not just thinking about pneumonia, he's thinking about sepsis as well. So beyond payment, clinical documentation helps the provider to also improve the quality of care that is given to the patient. Now, in my next slide, again, I've talked about many of these things. I've talked about the fact that the clinical documentation specialist, who is also referred to as CDS, reviews medical records to ensure that it is complete and it is accurate. And I've explained that usually if we notice holes or gaps in the medical record, um, we're going to send questions to the doctor. Those questions, we call them queries. You know, what you are basically doing is just pulling out facts from different places in the health records to ask the doctor that, look at what I have seen here. Look at what you've documented. Can you better document this diagnosis? You know, there are times when a doctor can write heart failure, but maybe this patient is actually in acute exacerbation of heart failure, but it was never documented. And you're seeing the signs there. You're seeing that they gave the patient IV Lasix. You're seeing that the BMP was elevated. You're seeing vascular congestion on the X-ray. So you can ask that question from the doctor to say, look, can you better tell us about the acuity of the heart failure? So that's what we do as a clinical documentation specialist. And the beauty of this is that the things that you need to know is just fine-tuning the medical knowledge, the medical and nursing knowledge that you already have. Like people who've been practicing on the floor already. So all the extra things are things that in the next couple of slides, I'm going to be talking about a program that we have that will just help to fast track us knowing some of these terms and helping us to land that dream, a clinical documentation job. Now, on the third slide here, I talked about how we ensure claims are accurate to reduce denials. I don't want to dive deep into this, but the summary of it is that usually when doctors treat patients, hospitals will make a claim to collect money for the treatment. And if what they've documented does not exactly support what they are claiming they treated, the insurance payers will say, no, I can't pay you for respiratory failure because you only documented hypoxia. But because we have seen this patient and we've made sure that the providers have accurately documented the right diagnosis, we also reduce the chances that hospital claims for reimbursement are denied. So hospitals need clinical documentation specialists. In fact, all over the United States right now, if you see any hospital that is struggling to survive, usually the next question they ask is, do you have a clinical documentation team? And if they don't, that's the next thing they have to do. They have to get on board to have a CDI team to make sure that diagnoses are accurately and appropriately captured. And usually that sets the hospital up for proper reimbursement and improvement in the quality of care. All right. Another thing that I have here is I just talked about why is CDI important to the healthcare organization. I've talked about many of these things, like the fact that CDI improves the quality of care. It helps to reduce documentation errors, which is important in a lot of ways beyond just reimbursement. It also can also protect the hospital, protect the providers legally as well. It helps to reduce denials. And there's something we call case mix index. It's just a representation of the severity of the illness. Like you're pretty much telling the payers that what kind of patients am I seeing? Am I seeing just clinic patients who would come in, be admitted for 1 to 2 days and go away? Or am I seeing patients that are likely to stay for 5 days or and above? So by accurately documenting the severity of illness of patients, you can let them know that I am a highly rated hospital who is more likely to see patients that will stay longer, or who is more likely to see patients that are more severely sick. Uh, I I put something up here where it says 2016 report found that hospitals that have more than 150 beds saw a profit of about 1.5 billion in revenue and claims reimbursement. This is talking about the impact of clinical documentation specialists in hospitals that have it. So the point I'm trying to make here is hospitals are beginning to recognize that they need CDS, and all over US right now, hospitals are recruiting clinical documentation specialists in drove. If you go online, there's always that requirement for CDSCs. They want to bring clinical documentation specialists in. Now, one of the challenges with landing a job in CDS is that a number of times it is difficult to just grab somebody who's been working on the floor and say, okay, start reviewing records. There are a lot of things that you need to know. And because of that, most hospitals will prefer to bring somebody in who has had a form of knowledge or some form of certification in clinical documentation specialists. I think in the next couple of slides, I'll talk about those certifications and how we can get them, and how Novell Training Services has positioned himself to helping people get that certification within a few weeks. Now, what I have here is this is just a survey with some nurses who have worked in clinical documentation specialists. I think Yemi is going to come up very soon to talk about benefits of CDS, but I'm just going to read through some of these slides to say some people responded and said they've been in clinical documentation for more than 7 years. They love the field. Another one said they've been here for 9 years and they hope to retire in the job. Other comments include absolutely love CDI, 10 years in CDI, can't see myself in another specialty. And one of the benefits of CDI is that a lot of the jobs are actually remote, which means you have the benefit of working from the comfort of your home. So, and believe me, remote work is the way to go nowadays. I can see Decency is cheering that because he is also team remote, and uh, just what I would say is if you've tasted remote, you understand that it is just way better. You're not getting on the road, you're not stuck in traffic for 1.5 hours, and you're still doing your job. And that's the beauty of it. And with regards to CDI, every day, every week, every month, you can actually see your quality impact in the hospital. You can see your financial impact as well. And of course, remote job benefits include better work-life balance. You don't have to deal with commute. Most of the jobs in CDI now are beginning to also have what they call flexible schedules. Like a couple of places now they say, look, we're going to give you a number of charts that we want you to review every day, but we're not strict about you working within an 8 hours period. You know, sometimes people work remotely and they say, when you log in at 8 o'clock, we want you to constantly be online for 8 hours till 4 p.m. Nowadays, what you see is people saying, this is the chart that we want you to review. If you have a doctor's appointment or you have to be somewhere, that's fine. You can come in, work for 4 hours, go do whatever you need to do for about 2 hours, and then come back and finish up your review. So the beauty of remote work is one of the benefits of CDI. Yemi is online. Let me quickly go through some of the other slides so Yemi can tell you more about the benefits of CDI and why people love it. Now, what are the skills that you need to bring to the table? I'll leave that for Yemi as well. Yemi will talk to you about the skills. So I'll move on to the next slide. And prospect of CDI, again, Yemi will talk to you about that. I want to get to compensation. It's for Yemi will talk to you about in the next 2 minutes. Yemi will be coming on board. Now, what do you need to get into CDI? So what I always tell people is this: if you're a foreign medical graduate, or if you are a nurse, you've been working as a registered nurse, then you already have the qualifications to get into clinical documentation integrity practice. But the thing is this: what makes you stand out to recruiters is the certifications. Now, there are two types of certifications. We have the clinical documentation improvement practitioner, which is referred to as CDIP. Now, this certification is you can take it with AHIMA. AHIMA stands for Association of Health Information, American Health Information Management Association. And the other one is CCDS. CCDS is Certified Clinical Documentation Specialist, and that one is by ACDIS, which is the Association of Clinical Documentation Improvement Specialists. Now, you can see that I put a small note there for CCDS, that CCDS can be a little bit strict to get into. They usually prefer people who have worked as a clinical documentation specialist for at least 2 years before you can take the certification exam. But CDIP is the best gateway into this wonderful field, because you as a registered nurse or as a medical doctor, you can write the CDIP certification. Of course, one of the challenges with writing the CDIP certification is that if you go online today and you say, what are the books that you need to take the CDIP, you're going to see a ton of books. If you get on Amazon, there are so many books. There are a lot of question banks, there are a lot of books, and the information, they're scattered all over the place. So one book is not enough. Usually, you have to buy about 3 to 5 books, where you're getting one information about coding in one book, you're getting another information in another book. So one of the things we have done is to actually help folks fast track that entry into clinical documentation field. So we at Novell Training Services, initially what we were doing was that we would take on people individually, and then I'll train people, talk to them about what they need to know. And what happened with that is that, instead of you reaching out to 10 people at once, you're reaching out to just one person, and then it's when you're done with that one person that you go on to the next one. So rather than do that, what we've started doing is that we coalesced all of the knowledge, the videos, the materials, the questions that accurately represents what you're going to see on the exam. So we've created everything, we put it on together, and we provided our access through our website. And usually this is available for 8 weeks period, but people can get through this depending on how motivated you are. You can get through the whole materials in less than 8 weeks if you have the time on your hands. And what we've done is that if you go through those materials, you go through the videos, the questions, and all the other materials that are available, you'll be able to ace that CDIP certification exam. And beyond acing the exam, you also have the access to resume revamping. We'll talk to you about LinkedIn optimization. We also help with interview preparation. And after people have landed the dream CDI job as well. Novell Training Services does not just leave you alone to say, okay, you have your certification, you got your job, that's it. No, we continue to provide support for members of our team. Even after you've landed the job, we are still available for you. We're still there. If you have questions with regards to wherever you're working, with regards to CDI field, with regards to sending queries and other challenges that you may have. So when you sign up with Novell Training Services, you're not just signing up with us for 8 weeks. We're actually there throughout your CDI journey. We're going to be there to help you get a good foundation in CDS and ensure that you can land that dream job. And when you land the dream job, you can also excel at the job. So I'm going to bring Yemi up now because I skipped over some slides. There were times when I wanted to talk about the benefits of CDI and the compensation and other things. So let me back up and Yemi, you can come online.
Thank you so much. Yemi, are you able to speak?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
yes, I can talk. Hello, everyone. My name is Yemi Udwole. I am a registered nurse with my bachelor's and master's degree, and I work in clinical document. I work as a clinical documentation specialist in the clinical documentation integrity world. I've been in this field for a while now, and I have loved it. I have absolutely loved it. Today I'll be talking to you about the reasons why I am in the CDI, the reason why I left bedside, the reason why I'm happy about this job, and why I think a lot of people would be happy as well. So, Dr. Wale, can you let me go back to the previous slide, please? I think one more slide before this one. So one of the reasons why I remember when I used to work on the floor, it was nice, it was fulfilling, but sometimes you get home and you have a lot of leg pains. At that time you are working, you don't even know that you are stressing yourself. But you get home, you are in pains, you can't do anything, you are useless to your family. And on your days off, you just want to sleep all day. Like you can't even exercise, nothing. You can't be there for a lot of people because even though you have those time off, you just need to rest for the following work day. CDI is a field that is absolutely stress-free, and there is reduced risk for burnout because number one, you work from home. There's a lot of job that satisfaction. CD, what is there? So there's a lot of job satisfaction and everything. So that's one of the reasons why I like it. Another thing is that you have a better work-life balance. A better work-life balance. Dr. Wale, can you go to this to the slide that talks about the benefit of CDI? Do I want to? Okay, yeah. The one after this one, I think. Yes, this particular one. So you have a great work-family balance. Imagine if you have children, you are done with your work maybe at 4 p.m. or 2 p.m., depending on your start time, and you still have time to gist with them, to play with them, to run around with them. It's not possible if you go to the floor and you've been serving medication all day or turning patient, lifting patient, and doing a lot of stuff. But we see your evenings are yours, your weekends are yours, your public holidays are yours, New Year, Christmas, Thanksgiving, you spend it in your own home. You have time for exercise, you have time to call people on the phone and talk to people. It's just a beautiful work environment. And also, you don't have to commute to work. You don't have to put mileage on your car. You don't have to pay for fuel. You get to eat the food that you want. Prepare your own homemade food instead of going to the cafeteria and be eating the Oyinbo food that probably a lot of us don't really enjoy very much. And they cost a lot of money too. So imagine you are going to work every day, you go to work, you go downstairs to spend $6 on the food that you don't even enjoy. And here you can be in your house and you can just whip up some noodles or whip up some quick swallow and make it to your food that you have in the fridge. Those are the beautiful thing about it. And also the flexible work schedules. Oh my God, that is the most important part of it. I remember when I used to, even before I got into CDI, I worked in the office for a while. I worked as a clinical research nurse where I was in an office, it was comfortable and all of that. But sometimes when I'm done with work, I keep looking at the time. Oh my God, when is it going to be 4 p.m.? That is no longer a problem for me. Like if I'm done with work, I can go in front of the TV, I can do chill work. Like I can do so many things with my time. I don't have to be looking at the time. When is it going to be 2 o'clock? No. because now I can use my time to do a lot of things. Nobody is monitoring me or watching me. What am I doing with my time? So far, I am able to meet my productivity. Now, the level of flexibility you have depends on the kind of places that you work. Some places will tell you what time do you want to work. Like for me, I like to work from like 6 a.m. to about 2 p.m. Why? Because if I'm on break, I don't have to really take a real break. I can be eating while I'm looking at cases and all of that. I can take my shower in between, So far, I am able to finish my work within that hour of time. I'm fine. It is so flexible. And then by 2 p.m. you are done. You are doing other things with your life, things that you like. You can go into things that you like to do. If you have any other hobby, this is the time to go into that kind of hobby because you have more time. Some places also allows you to go to see for your doctor's appointment without having to even tell them I'm going to the doctor's appointment. What you just do is that when you are going, just go off, and then when you come back, you continue work. So far, you meet your productivity and you meet the hours that they want you to work. They are fine. Another reason is because of the low cost of living. Some people in CDI these days, they work in let's say Texas, and they work in California, and they probably live in Texas where there is lower cost of living. So imagine being paid the salary of somebody living in California that is very expensive in a state that is not expensive. So you don't have to live close to your workplace or go and get, how we go and look for accommodation when we're looking, when for some of us that we have, and I've told us how to look for accommodation in a very good area, school, and we are looking at the salary they are paying us and how to afford those good areas. No, you can go to a state that is very affordable and live in the top community there and work in a high paying state. So it is just so good that way. For instance, the first job I landed in CDI was in Indiana, and I was living in Maryland at that time. And I've had people get jobs in different states far away from where they are working. Even some of our students have had similar testimonies. Um, yeah, so that is on. Can we go? So now those are the major reasons why I love CBI, and I think it's a good thing for everyone that has a family or have been born out as a registered nurse. And the thing is that one thing we see there again is that I see a lot of people going into their 70s doing this job. It's not something that once you're 60, you're like, I can't be lifting patient anyway, I can't be working. This one you're just using your brain and chilling in the office environment. Worst case, you can reduce your time to part time. You just keep doing. A lot of people don't even want to retire. Like it's the age that forces them to retire. It's just so sweet. Now, to the next slide, we're going to be talking about some of the challenges with working as a clinical documentation specialist. The major thing is that most of us, we are used to computer these days. It used to be because you need to have some computer skills to be able to work as a CDS. Like you have to be able to know how to power on your computer, how to get to those applications that is needed, open them up and launch them. They are really not very high skills like that. They're just computer basic skills, which a lot of us have gotten over the years with owning our own personal laptop. And a lot of people that have been working on the floor here in the United States, they've been able to work with all the EMR successfully without any problem. So I don't think that's going to be a big challenge for us as well. And also another thing that we found is that most organizations want people with some form of CDI experience or knowledge. So sometimes your first job application, you might be getting some denials and all of that. But with the CDI certification, it gets better. That is one of the things that we offer in Novel Training Services. At Novel Training Services is that knowledge, that thing that when you get to an interview and they ask you about CDI, you're able to tell them something that sounds like you actually know what we do. Imagine a registered nurse that I've read about CDI but does not know what it entails and goes for an interview. They ask them a lot of questions. They are just going to be like, well, I don't really know much about that. But if you've been through our course, a lot of those questions you'll be able to answer without any problem, because there is even a segment of it that talks about questions that you might be asked in interviews. Um, One other thing is just that there might also be a pay cut for your first job, and that depends really. Some people don't even get pay cut at all. Some get, for my first job, I think I got about $3 increase from what I was earning. But some people, if you're already doing night shift, and night shift differential is about $5 to $7 an hour. Because this is a day shift, of course, they're not going to be giving you those differentials. So you're going to lose that. And then depending on the state, if for instance you get a job in a low income state where they don't really pay so much, it might also affect the pay. But generally, pay is not really bad in CDI. It's something that is good and it is worth it, especially when you're not commuting to work, you're not buying uniform, you can even work in your pajamas, all those things make up for the differences in pay and doesn't make it seem bad. And most time we found that in a year or two, you make up for the pay even way better than somebody that is working clinical and working night shift over time. Yeah, I think that is all I'm supposed to talk about. Is there anything else Dr. Wally wants me to put some light into? Yeah, prospecting of CDI in the USA, it is awesome. Like I keep telling people, prospect in the USA is awesome. And the reason is because not every hospital has a CDI unit yet. And guess what? Once they discover what CDI does, all of them at some point will be wanting to have enough CDI specialists. And the truth about it is that um, I don't think we have enough CDS specialists that can serve the whole hospital in the United States right now. Another reason is because a lot of people that have been in the field, you'll be wondering why have we been in this world all this while? We've been in nursing for how many years? We've never heard of these specialists. Why? Because we've had people stay in the field, they don't talk about it, and mostly we have a lot of white people there. And most times when I do interview, guess who I'm seeing? I'm seeing old women, old men. They've been there for 25 years, 30 years. Most of these people are close to retirement and they are retiring very soon. So now there's a lot of people in the field that are retiring, one. And two, there are also new hospitals coming up trying to looking for CDS specialists. And we don't have enough staff out there. These days now, at least I remember when I first started, I was applying, doing interviews and everything. I have gotten to a point in my career where I do not have to apply for any job anymore. They reach out to me on LinkedIn all the time, and I'm even the one telling them I'm not interested. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I have like two offers that I am trying to choose which one should I pick. It's not going to be like that from the first day, but the more experience you have, you update your profiles. Recruiters are going to be reaching out to you and they're going to be telling you. One of our students even got a job in a place where they don't even have any CDI. She is the only CDI there at this time that we are talking. See, that is one of those hospitals that are starting to build their CDI units because they know the importance, and usually they start small with smaller staff and until they expand. There are places that have like 40 staff or 100 CDS staff depending on how big the hospital is. So I don't see it as a field that is a temporary, that is just for a short period of time, or a field that when you get into it, you get to a point where you can't find jobs anymore. No, it's a field that will continue to grow because of the immense benefit CDI as a unit is to an hospital. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Yemi. I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dr. Oluwole. Thank you so much, man. This is loaded, guys. This is far too much than what we bargained for, and yet we still have someone else in our midst here today. She is someone who has she's a nursepreneur, so she has been in the digital world and she has had a taste of the CDI, and I would like her to just give her own side of the story about how she feels about this CDI that we're talking about. And remember, guys, what we are doing here today is trying to let you know some of these opportunities. Some people who have that information have been making use of it, but they don't spread the news. So what we do today is to try as much as possible to bring these opportunities your way and try as much as possible to let you know what you have to do to be able to, benefit from it. All right. So while we're getting ready to bring Linda into the program, I would like us to take questions. If you have any question that you need to ask about, any question at all in what we have been presented, I have been trying to answer some questions on the comment section, but there are some questions that are there that I also want us to discuss in-house. So if you have any question, please kindly use the reaction button and raise your hand. I will give you the opportunity to ask your question, and our guest today will do us well to answer some of those questions. So we have Scholastica right now. Scholastica, I've asked you to unmute. Please kindly unmute and ask your question, please.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm actually in the US.
Okay.
But I saw a lot of questions on the group chat asking if this let me just call it completely, clinical documentation specialist So is it like if you get the certification, can you get a job like outside of the US, or you have to be in the US to be able to work as a clinical documentation specialist?
Okay, so I will let our presenters answer that question because this is their field. Everybody have their own niche. So, guys, who is going to take it? Is it Yemi or Dr. Luwale? Let's see. Dr. Luwale, I've asked both of you to unmute. Anybody that is ready can take the question. And Linda is ready now, so we'll take Linda afterwards.
Okay, so Yemi, I'll be answering this question. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll say that for CDS, you can only get job within the United States. It's a certification that works mostly alone here in the United States. So it's not a job that you can't get a job in UK, you can't get a job in Canada, you can't get a job in Nigeria. I would say that maybe you can use that experience in NHS or any of those insurance, whatever in Nigeria, but it's going to be really hard because the system is different, the terms are different, but it's basically a job in the United States.
Okay, thank you so much. Scholastica, I think her question is still needs more clarification. So let's see. Did we answer your question?
Yes, you said the job has to be in the US, but can somebody outside of the US do the job from abroad?
For
That's
the
what I mean.
US.
And then yeah, okay, in the US. The person has to be in the US. Okay.
Okay.
Then another question is this a kind of job that like people, because I know some people here as international students are like looking for like side jobs or stuff because of course the number of hours is not enough for them to do and get enough. So is this kind of job, like when you get the certification, is this kind of job something you will advise someone who is an international student to embark on?
Right. Okay. If I might jump in there. So if you are outside the US and you want to do this kind of job, there's something called PHI, patient health information. So the US protects patient health information very well because a lot of fraud is committed with those data. So somebody can get into your record, the person will see your social security, will see your date of birth, will see so many information that they can use to kind of commit fraud. So anything that is trying to open some certain applications coming from outside the US is, they are all considered as spyware or malware, and the system is going to block it. So most of the system will just block it. They won't allow you to gain access once you are outside of the US. So, but when you're within the US, you can comfortably do this job because they believe that, there's nowhere to hide. So if you run, they will find you. There's no fraud that you can commit within here that you cannot be traced. So that's why I believe that this job cannot be done by someone who is outside of the US, but the course can be done in preparation of the time that you will come to the US. And this also applies to those that are students. If you are a student in the US and you want to do this program, is okay, you can do it. And if you have some like work, like if you are OPT student or you have some, what is it called, work authorization, 20 hours work authorization, if you can decide to, if you see anybody that can hire you on those terms, you can decide to use that and do your CDS job. So that way you're working from home doing this job for a company. All right. But I know that those companies will also obey the laws of your studentship. So if your student status says 20 hours, it's going to be 20 hours work. But if you have OPT that allows you maybe do up to 40 hours, then you're in great hands. You can actually do that. Okay. I don't know if I answered your question, Scholar. Scholastica? Yeah, we'll take more questions after we, have Shewun. Just keep that hand here. Don't take your hand down. Just keep it there. I'm going to come to you, Shewun, and we're going to take Linda right now. Linda, how are you doing today? Come on, you're shining on your CDI job. How has it been?
It's been okay. 1 second. Okay,
It looks like you're working. It looks like you're trying to do some kind of remote job. Okay, so Linda, tell us, how did you even find this CDI? How did you get interested in this job? What happened? How? Because
Okay.
let me tell you guys something before she goes. Linda has come from a very, very, very long journey. So before she came to the US, she was in the UK. We've talked about this before on this program. You know, she was in the UK and she worked as a UK RN in the UK for a long time, you know, very long time. It took the grace of God to convince Linda to come to the US. So when she came to the US, she was still very active as a nursepreneur. She's a digital content creator. She's been very, very big on YouTube and other social media. She has been, you know, into a lot of projects, and she's, you know, done a lot of things, you know, in a very quick and nice fashion. And she was able to complete some of those things with very, very good results. And then she stumbled on this CDI. I'm going to let her take it off from there, Linda. So tell us, how has it been?
Okay, good day, everyone. Thank you so much for letting me join this program today. I've been to a lot of DNA program, and each time they invite me, I like to come because I really like what you do here. So for right now, I work as a clinical documentation specialist, and I heard about it from this platform. So how I heard about it from DNA Boss. So he approached me once and said that they want to talk about one program for nurses so that we can talk about it on YouTube and everything. And before then, I attended another program here as well, where I wanted to do a nurse practitioner program. So I was contemplating on which one to do, whether to continue, because a little bit about my background. Registered nurse, I trained in Nigeria. I did my master's degree in community health, public health nursing in Nigeria, master's. And then when I got to the US, I was contemplating, should I go for my PhD? Should I continue the public health or something like that? So there was a program DNA organized, and people were talking about like nurse practitioner program or something. So one of them, that was CHISMD or something. So I was contemplating whether I should continue with public health nursing or do psych MP. So she talked about psych MP, and I was like, okay, that's good. Maybe it's something I can also merge with my public health. So I chatted her up later, and that's how I found myself in psych MP that I just finished 2 weeks ago. So when this program came about, he told me about this CDI. I was like, oh my God, if I heard about it before my MP, maybe I would have just done this program and that's it. And then I said, okay, it's going to be a distraction. Let me not do it. Let's just talk about it on YouTube, and then maybe later I'll be interested. But after that YouTube, we talked about this CDI. Each time I go to work, I'll tell people about it. So I was working as a float nurse. So some of the nurses, why I like to give this background is because it will give a lot of people here that are contemplating or are trying to choose career, maybe to help you. So these nurses, they've been nurses for like 30 years, 20 something years. And they keep saying, oh, this job is too tiring. I need something that is so relaxing. I need something that I can do from home. I'm tired of this. They were complaining. I said, oh, well, there's this program I just heard about recently. I don't even know about it. I'm not really sure about the details, but I gave them the flyer, and then they said, "Oh, well, you have children," and I said, "Well, I'm doing another program. I don't want to be distracted." And then one of them convinced me and said, "This is a good opportunity. Take it. You have time for your kids and everything." So she told me I had a home health, and I was dealing with there is another documentation review or something they used to deny. It's like home health something about CMS. And she said it's something like coding, but this is different. But like I liked it. And it's like I have a little bit of experience in this. Go and do it. You like it, go and do it. So they actually convinced me to do it, and they joined me to do the training with Novel Training Services. So they were the one that convinced me to do it. So I did it with them, wrote the exam, and then started looking for jobs. Sometimes I would look for job. I attended a lot of interviews. They kept asking about experience. And that brings me to what so many people are asking, what you need. So most of the time, what they were asking is that you have a solid clinical background. And what helped is like if you've worked in accident and emergency or critical care. I believe that if you've worked in every other nursing background, they will take you. But these two, just know that if you have experience, maybe floating to critical care or something, if you're making your CV, make sure that that shines, because if you've worked in critical care and if you don't have experience as a CDI, that will really help your CV. Like if you say you've worked in critical care or something like that, or if you've worked in anything quality or something like that, make sure it's in your CV. That helps. That's what many of them were asking. And I attended a ton of interviews, like when I now got serious to look for jobs. So based on the training, so my training was with this company, Novel Training Services. And then I had loads of coursework to do as well. So what happened is that I did the training with these people, and then just what they taught me, I'll be listening to it when I'm going to work. I didn't read nothing. I didn't read any external whatever. I don't have time for those. So I just read it, repeated it over and over, took notes, and immediately I finished the program. Like I now booked my exam like within 2 weeks. When I wrote the exam and passed. So, and then I passed like for a while, and then when I started looking for a job, they started asking for experience. Oh my God. And then I got discouraged in the middle. Then someone else that trained with Novel Training Services floated to my unit. I said, oh, wow, this program is good. You have to look for a job right now. So two of us started looking for a job, and then I landed one just ending of last year. And I must say, I love it. I love it to the extent of like, I feel like I'm catching up on everything that I've missed. Like this week, today is Friday, I've gone out in the evening with my kids every day. I feel like I'm catching up on every like life basically, because oh no, I don't know. Sometimes my kids will have assignments in their bag till Friday, and I'll see it in the morning when they are getting ready for school on Friday. And I'm like, and then one of my colleagues as well that I think she wants to take this course right now as well. She also has like all this problem with the kids that sometimes her child is supposed to go for all this outing with every other child you have to sign, and she will not see the paper that she has to sign for her child, and everyone will go for the trip and her children will not go. So some of those things. And why I told you the story about the ladies that convinced me to do this course is that that's what happens to so many of our Nigerians here. They've had businesses, home health, and everything, but even in their 80s, in their maybe 60s, they're about to retire. They're still working like back to back, and it's not fun. So if you have something that you really love and that you can do when you're still young, then that's perfect. So even if you have little interest, my encouragement is like, for me, maybe I had little interest and I took the course and I said, okay, even when I got the job, I said, okay, let me just check it out. Like I kept saying, okay, let me just check it out. But like now you can see I really, really like it. And even at work, they are like, okay, if you pass your board exam, are you going to practice a psych MP? I'm like, okay, we'll see how it goes. And then that's the extent I really love it. And for the what Yemi talked about the compensation, also I want to touch on that, because a lot of people, when you want to make a career change, you're always looking at the money and everything, which is fair, right? It's fair. But one thing I want to encourage you is that what happens is that I didn't see it clearly until I started this job. Okay. So now I'm doing this job. And if I feel like the money is not enough, I have like my Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays to still go back to my other job and then maybe take um, one or two shifts, and then I can make up. And then when I have experience, maybe I can get bigger gigs. And if I do that, even just on Fridays, I will still make much more than what I was making in my old job. And if I continue my old job and pick extra shift, that's how I get drowned. And that's how so many people get drowned, because you have two jobs that even the one job is not letting you stay with your family. And then you can take in two jobs. Then, I mean, like, is something else. Okay, so if you have little interest, I encourage you to just take the course and then apply to jobs like back to back. I know I can't even count how many interviews I had, but each interview gave me a little bit of insight on how to like go to the next one. So that is my journey here, and I like to give all this background because of some of the feedbacks I get sometimes, because I create these nurses content for nurses on YouTube. Sometimes people think, oh, because they paid you, that's why you're saying all these positive things, or maybe you're getting something. No, So as you can see, I shared this on YouTube and I'm doing it. So, and there are so many things I shared on my YouTube as well that helped my family members as well. So I'm sharing this out of love as well, not because anybody compensated me or anything. So, and another thing I want to touch on is as well, the novel training services, they're also supporting me in my new job, which is really cool. So if you're doing it with a group of nurses that know where you're coming from. So if you can do the training with any other person, like any other company, like in the US or something. But if you're doing it with a group of, nurses that know your background, that really know what you need, I think that is really cool. Because again, just when I was searching for something I would do for nurse practitioner, I still from here because I believe like these people, they know like you are an international nurse just like them, they know exactly what you need, and that's just it. So I feel like this is perfect. And thank you so much again. If I've not had time to say thank you, Yemi, thank you, Dr. Uluwale. It's been a pleasure, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Linda. That is powerful, guys. That is so powerful. That's what I love about people that really want to give back to their community. See, you will see the love, you will see the passion in Linda as she narrates her journey through CDS program. And this is something I really admire about Linda, because she's always ready to give back, to give. That's why her YouTube channel is growing every day. Because if you go there, you would find lots and loads of information about. In fact, Linda, if you may, kindly drop your YouTube channel on the comment section so people can go there, because I believe some of the things you have there, they would definitely benefit from it. So coming back to what Linda has shared, it's very simple, guys. It's very, very simple. This program is something you can use to plan your retirement. Most of you are willing and very self-motivated to come to the US, but trust me, when you work that job you're admiring right now for 5-10 years, you're going to be fed up. You will so much be fed up of the job. And even it might not get to 5-10 years before you become this fed up, because you will see the job competing for time with your children, with so many things around you. I'm not saying that working your job is not good, but at some point you will need some family time. You will need to stay with your family, with your children, at least to watch them grow. You don't want the society to train your children for you. You want to be able to train these children, especially in a community and society like where we are, right? Like the US. You want to be able to know what your children knows at every point in time to be able to correct them. You can't do that from your job. Imagine being at work and you are called that your child is having fever. What are you going to do? If you're working a regular job, bedside job, you're just going to leave the job, right? Clock out and go take care of your child. That's if it permits. Sometimes if you do it back to back, your manager will start looking at you as the next person to be fired, because you're always taking excuses. And some of these things are natural occurrences. It's not you that makes your children sick. Sometimes your children can be sick for a whole week. Some families have children who have special needs, that will need to be taken care of every time they get to doctor's appointment and the rest of them. This is a job that will help you to be a better parent. And we're bringing it to you guys. That's just the way we brought H1B, and less people from Africa believed in H1B. Now everybody is trying to go on H1B. And then we've had successes, but from people from Saudi, from Jordan, from Iran, people from there are getting H1B through our company. Right now we're bringing you this opportunity. Take this opportunity, do the course, do the program, and then, whenever you come to the US, you have something already, you can start interviewing. Like what Linda said, there are some courses you would do, you find out you can't even see jobs to interview for, but she was interviewing back to back, which means there is job in the pool. You understand? There's a lot of jobs in that field. That's why there was interview back to back, tons and tons of interview. That gives me hope. If I'm like you looking for something to do, it will give me hope that if I do this program, I will be called by some organization. They will look at me and say, oh, let's interview this person for this kind of job. So guys, we're going to take questions right now. Well, before we do that, I want to say thank you to this Novel Training Services, because they decided to give a 25% discount to all of us on this program. So if you're on this program and you want to register for this program, you'll be getting a 25% discount. So this program, normally, it is valued at $2,500. That's $2,500. No, but they are not doing it at that rate. They are doing it as $1,000, but right now they are giving 25% discount on top of the $1,000. So, which means if you want to do the course, you'll get it at $750. So thanks to the Novell Training Services for that. And I wish that you take this opportunity. We're going to take question from Shehun. Shehun, your hand has been raised for a long time. I want to appreciate you for keeping that hand up there, because it's hard to find people. We are so many on this program. So thank you so much. And I've asked you to unmute Shehun. You can ask your question now. And if there's anybody that has any question for our presenters, they are very, very busy persons. So they have families, they have things they are doing. So I don't want to keep them here for so long. So guys, if you have any questions for them, kindly use the reaction button and raise your hand, and I will give you the opportunity to ask them questions. Shehun, over to you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decency. My story is just like Linda's own, so I don't want to go back there. Like you said, family time is like a luxury, especially for people in US, United States, Canada, and the likes. But I was on the lookout for this program. I won't lie to you, but I won't say I'm disappointed right now because I live in Canada and actually have a master's in nursing back from Nigeria. I was contemplating to do my PhD also, and I want to have time for my family. So I decided to go for another master's program in health informatics because I'm interested in working remotely and being a clinical nurse, health informatics specialist. So when I saw this program, I was motivated to come. But now you said someone that works in Canada cannot work in US. It might not be this. Do you have any suggestion for how someone in Canada can get work in the US, or is it not possible? Especially for someone like me that is doing a program, I'm almost rounding up in health informatics. Thank you.
All right. So I don't know that Dr. Oluwole, do you have any idea to that question? I have my own thoughts that I would say about it, but let Dr. Oluwole give his own insights.
This is Yemi. I would like to address this question. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's not like nurses outside of the country cannot do this job. They can, but it's just that the opportunity cannot be as much as the person that actually lives in the United States. Now, this is the reason. Sometimes we have some companies that the job is contracted to a particular company to take care of the CDI department of an hospital. And sometimes we see that some of these companies actually recruit nurses and doctors from outside of the country, like India. So I've seen a place, I've had a colleague that worked in an hospital that contracted a part of their CDI work to foreign medical graduates and even nurses in India. So it's not like it is not possible. And also, I have also seen Canadian nurses work in the United States. It is also possible. During the COVID era, I've seen a lot of some of our friends that lives in Canada. They will come into the US and pick jobs. But I think that to make it easier, because as nurses doing this job, they always ask for your RN. So if you can take out the time and take the NCLEX USRN, because you're in Canada, and if you're already practicing in Canada, I believe that you've written the Canadian RN exam. So if you take the US exam, you might be able to get a job in the United States from Canada, because Canada is very close to here. It's not comparable to somebody living in Nigeria. So there is never a no in this situation. I feel that it is possible for you to get a job from Canada in the US in the CDI field, but they'll probably still need your RN license. And the only way would be probably to take the NCLEX US RN and then get the certification, put them together. And then if you have significant background, like Linda mentioned earlier, maybe in acute medical surgical field, maybe taking care in med surge, accident and emergency, because I had the mostly med surge background before I got in, accident and emergency, critical care. Those are also going to help you to land a job in that field in the United States.
Okay, thank you so much. Shaun, did that answer your question? You need more light to be thrown at it? Because I know that if you are a Canadian RN, you would do your endorsement. That's what Yemi was, trying to say. Like, if you're already there, you can do endorsement, and then you can use that to get a job within the US. Did that answer your question? I asked you to unmute.
Okay, sorry. Okay, you by endorsement, is it like doing a jurisprudence exam or whatever? Because I already have an NCLEX, and presently I work in an acute unit, like she said. So the only thing is that just for like how to match the experience, like working in the US and Canada, like she said. I know you mentioned something about patient health information, like privacy. The same thing is being done here. So I don't know if I'll be able to. I want Dr. Oluwole to, if he can answer that question, because now he's the only one that can be like a kind of like a kind of I don't know how to put it now, to ensure that I can go for his program if I want to, and I'll be able to get a job like the nurse mentioned.
Like Linda. Okay, yeah. So yeah, Dr. Luwale, if you're free, Shaun is requesting that you kind of chime in on her question, just to give your own input.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Distance. Yes, I heard your question, and I think Yemi's answer was, I think that's still the best way that we'll approach it. If you're licensed to practice in the in the United States, that is, if you can work on the floor in the United States, then there won't be a problem with you working as a CDS. Now, having said that, I also want to put it out there that I have worked in centers before. You see, some of these things, there's a gray line. As long as you can find an organization that is willing to uh, have that umbrella protection. So I've worked with one hospital where we had some clinical documentation specialists from India. These are physicians who are licensed to practice in India, and they taught them everything about clinical documentation. They got their certifications, and from India, they were reviewing cases in the United States. Like I said, these these opportunities are not as common as the regular one. If you have your certification, you're in the US, it's easier to get it. But that's not to take anything away from you. Like, if you get your certification and you're ready to look for these opportunities, they are there. You can actually get places that would employ you even though you're not in the US. And I think Yemi also mentioned that she had worked with some place where the company was actually not based in the US, but they were employing people from the US for a hospital in the United States. So this can happen. So if you live anywhere else, especially you living in Canada, I think it shouldn't be that much of a problem. But again, we'll have to do individual research just to be on the safe side. But to be able to work as a CDS, I think it is possible.
Hi, Shaun, I just want to verify if that question was well taken care of. Hello, Shaun. Sorry, unmute again.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you okay? You good?
Yeah, that's okay. Thanks.
All right. All right. I believe we'll see you in the class then. And we have Stella. Stella, you can ask your question. I see that you have some questions on the comment section. Yeah, you can go ahead and ask your question. I've asked you to unmute. If there's anybody that want to ask questions, we have like 5 more minutes to take care of all these questions. And then, if you have interest in this course, I've already sent out the email address. So you just email that, send an email to that email, and then you will get a response on how you can go about the registration. Okay.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm speaking from UK. Can you hear me? It was Decency.
Yes, we can hear you, Stella. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for this eye-opening course. And thank you to Novel Training Services and everybody that spoke. So my question is, like, we that have gotten a job with a particular hospital, like myself, I'm going to work in Tulsa, and I'm coming under EB3. So what is if I do this course from the UK and arriving in the US, I'm supposed to work with this particular hospital for 3 years. If I get job under this CDI program, is it possible that I can resign or change from maybe bedside nursing to clinical documentation specialist under the same hospital, or I have to deploy to another place, or combine the two? What is the chances? Thank you.
All right. Since it's not my niche, so to say, I would ask any of those people, our guests, to see if they can respond to Yemi, Dr. Oluwole. You guys have any answer for us?
Oh, can you all hear me?
Yes.
So, with regards to the EB2, I really do not know how that works, because I didn't come in through that pathway. But I also believe that you can work with any I don't think there's any restriction with who you can work with. Or Mr. Decency, I think you're in the best position to answer this
Oh
situation.
yeah, I think so too. So now, with what I think her major question is if she'll be able to still work for her company that is bringing her here on EB3 and still, be able to work in this field. So if you come in with your company on whichever road they have employed you in, and you check with your hospital, and your hospital is offering this, like they have vacancy in their CDI department, yes, for sure, you can transition to CDI and still stay there to complete your 3 years, but you'll be working from home. You understand? So you can still do that. I've seen so many people who were, OR nurse, but before they finished their contract, they went to the floor, you understand? And they were in the floor. Maybe they didn't like the OR, the system of OR in the US, they didn't like it. They went to the floor, still under the same agency, they finished their contract in the floor. So is it the same thing? You're still going to be moving across department, but within the same system, the same hospital system. So I believe it's possible. You can do it with, with proper communication with your hospital and with your agency. You should be able to move to that field and carry out your responsibility from there. All right, so I hope your question was answered very well.
Yes, thank you very much, boss.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So we have Cosmos Duru. Cosmos, I've asked you to unmute. You can ask your question.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Good evening from Nigeria. I'm calling from Nigeria.
Yeah. Good evening. Go ahead, Cosmos.
Okay. So my question is very brief. I want to ask: is there any way this particular course will be of advantage to all RN nurses, as in NCLEX nurses that are staying in Nigeria, that have not yet crossed the United States? Is there any way this particular course will be of advantage to us? That's my question. Thank you.
All right. So now, one of the things that we do on this program is to bring opportunities our way. Like the flyer said, is an opportunity, that people can work from home opportunity. So right now, you might not see it as a big thing because you're still in Nigeria, but one day you're going to come here and the same thing that we're talking about will happen, where you become somewhat fed up with the system, like, repetitive system of waking up every day, going to clock in, clock out, very busy shift, not having time for your family, everything that we have said here today. And then you would look for this. So, but if you had it already, like Stella was talking about, you can come here as you're working for your agency, you can transition, and while working for your agency, you would gain experience in CDI. So by the time you're done with your agency, you're already looking at higher gigs in the CDI world, instead of just at the end of your contract, you start looking for your fit, where you can fit in, which program will I do, but if you have done it already, you have an edge, and you have you just have a soft landing into the field because you're already in that field doing your job. Also, is a way to prepare you to be effective on your job when you come here. A lot of families have issues when they come to the United States based on the fact that there are no child care. In short, if you're supposed to pay for child care in the US, you're going to be paying through your nose, especially the little ones. You know, the amount that they pay child care is almost pay for child care is almost as the amount that you get from your job. So people that will come to your home to watch your babies for you, they will charge between $20 to $30 an hour. You understand? And you're going to work. Why the person is coming is because you want to go to job to work and earn $30 to $35 an hour. So you can imagine going to work, being taxed on your money, because that your money you're getting is going to be taxed. Their own is not taxed. They'll just come to your house, work for you, you count out cash and give to them, and they go home with your cash. And what, you know, and then you go to your work, and then your own is taxed. You understand? So you end up staying with nothing at the end of the month. So this is going to be something that will help you to have a stable family. You know, a lot of people even breach their contract based on the fact that they are not making it. The agencies are not paying much, and then the money that you're getting, you're giving it to childcare and other expenses around you. You're still going to pay for rent, you pay for utilities, you pay for your phone bills, your cable, everything. There's a lot of expenses, you know. So if you see a way to cut down, which is what this job is offering, that's a big thing, you know. If you are able to do it and then come over here and transition to that field, I think is a big thing. Well, it will not help you to pass your NCLEX as you asked. There's no way to help you to pass your NCLEX, but it will prepare you for the journey ahead, if I answered your question correctly. All right, so do we have any other question? On the comment section, I see some questions there. I'm just going to briefly take on those questions. Stella is asking, which government body oversees the function of CDI in the US? And I guess Yemi or Oluwole has answered that before. They said it's called AHIMA. AHIMA is the government body that oversees, or it's an association that oversees the function of CDS in the US. I don't know if I answered that correctly. Yemi and Dr. Oluwole, is that correct?
Yes, you did. AIMA is like an association, and we also have the ACTIS, which is the Association of Clinical Documentation Specialists as well. So those two, they govern the certification, and they also give us guidelines on how to review and all of that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And then we have another question by Annie Ben. Annie Ben is saying, what's the cost of the training? Cost implication is important, especially those outside the US. I understand. That is why I spoke to the presenters and they were able to offer us 25% discount. Like I said, this program is worth up to $2,500, which is $2,500. And they are offering this program at India. If you go to their website, what you're going to see is $1,000. But for those people that came for this program and want to get it through this program, you're going to be getting a 25% discount, which will put you at $750 for the training. Okay, and you know the training does not just end at 8 weeks. So there is a constant support that you get. You understand? You're going to get constant support from the company when you pass, when you are looking for a job, when you get the job and you're trying to adapt. There's a support system that the company provides. So it's like an ongoing assistance that they are rendering. All right, so Neka is asking, how will someone in a country like Nigeria benefit from this program? I think I answered Duru and other people. So the benefit is when you're done, you come over here. I'm hoping that Dr. Oluwole and Yemi, that one day that you guys can, you know, become that same company like we find in India. You know, India people, they are everywhere and they are so smart, and I know we are smart as well, that we can all like have a company that can employ people from Nigeria to review some of these charts and cases for companies in the US. I believe it's possible. I believe it can be done. You know, I believe that one day that you guys will think about it and do it as well.
That we are looking to, but how soon, we don't know yet. It's not
probably
here, but it's something that is the future that we are looking
at. In the pipeline.
Services, yes.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. So you can see, just, you know, hold tight. By God's grace, something good will come out of that thinking and that thing that they are, working on. All right. So Obinkiruka is asking, what is the certificate? What certificate do we need? It's called the Yemi, help me with that. Is it CDIS or CDI certificate?
CDIP, CDIP, Clinical Documentation Improvement Practitioner Certificate.
Okay, sounds good. Please stay on so that we can take all this together. Ayola is asking, can I do the course outside the US? Yes, I think the answer is yes. I
Yes,
answered
you
that
can
one
do the
correctly.
course and you can take the exam outside the US. There is a proctored exam that you can do within the comfort of your home once you are ready. But it's going to be proctored, somebody's going to be watching you. You just have to have good internet and a good laptop.
Wow. So you have a good internet, you have a good MacBook and good camera. You will be able to take this exam from the comfort of your home when you're done with the program. All right. So Luayemisi Precious, cost implication, $750. And then Johnson Olawumi, sorry. Does it mean I'm switching from nursing profession to CDI? CDI is, I don't know how to categorize it, but if you do this, do you mean that they are switching from nursing profession to
They're not
CDI?
switching because your RN license is still going to be used to get a job. So you still have to renew your RN license every time that it is due. So you are not switching, it's just like another field in nursing.
Wow. So just like another field in nursing, so you will still be needing your RN license to practice. If your RN license expires, your job will hold, like you put your job on a hold. Then Queen is just appreciating the soft work. And then Stella is saying thank you. Then Nenye, how do I start this program? So how you start this program is by emailing Novel Training Services. Their email address is admin@noveltrainingservices.com. Once you email that, send an email there, you will get a response on how to register. And from there, you will take it up from there, make payment. There is PayPal option, there is account option. Anyone you want, you can make payment to them. And then I contact them again with your payment receipt, and then they would give you access to their course, and also send you to a cohort. They always have a January cohort, February cohort. They have a cohort. They will send you into a cohort where you meet other people that are doing the same program. And if you have any question, you can ask on that cohort, and people, the facilitators will answer you. All right. So Linda is saying, please, your YouTube address. That is for Linda. Linda, please, your YouTube address. They're asking for it. If you can, please search, I think, Linda Eze on YouTube. I think you'll be able to see it. Can someone outside the US do CDI? Because we've answered this before. We say the answer is yes. I think we answered Olua Shehun. Sorry, Shehun. We answered Shehun. And then the another one is just saying that, yes, with endorsement, you can work in the US. And what's the cost implication? We've said it is $750. Then thanks to Yemi and Dr. Wole. Yeah. So is there a way this course can be advantage? I think we answered that question as well. So Chichi said, can working from home work for people in Canada? I think we also answered that. The answer is yes, and it's also something that you can research on. And we also have a question from Ozioma saying, is asking, please help me resend the email. So I'm going to resend the email address again. Please help us with the YouTube address. So Linda, if you're there, if I don't know if it's just Linda Eze, Lynda Eze, Eze. I think if you search Linda Eze, you'll be able to find her on YouTube. 750 is still high. I know, I understand. But compared to the value that you'll be getting from this course, I think it's something that, is worth it. I've been able to push them and ask them to come down on the price to that amount. Okay, so Neye Patrick, does the certificate expire? I think I'll let Yemi take on that question. Does the certificate expire after taking the exam?
So you need to keep it active by getting CEUs every 2 years. So once you get a certain number of CEUs, then you put it into the AIMA website on your account, then it automatically renews. I think you pay renewal fee. I think so. I think there's a renewal fee. But for you to be able to renew, just like your RN license, you need it to get some CEUs, and there are ways to get those CEUs.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Yemi. So Bami, please, can you put the email address here? Because I'm interested in the program. Yes, I've done that. Valentina Ago, can you drop the email address? I've dropped it. Linda Eze has also dropped her YouTube. And then we have Stella. Yes, Stella also dropped the email address. Can the money be paid instrumentally? Yes, but I think I discussed that as well with them. They said is you can pay it instrumentally, but you get access to the course at the end, at the completion of your payment, because once you're in the course, you are going to be able to see everything. Okay, so you get it at the end of the course. So please, can the payment be divided? I think we answered that as well. So yes, I think we are caught up on all the questions. So Enajete is, you have a question and you'll be the last person to ask question today, and we'll call it a day. So I've asked you to unmute. Please kindly unmute and ask your question.
Thank you very much, boss, and thank you for the presenters. My question is that for the exam, if one does not have camera in his or her house, how for the exam, will the exam still be held? Secondly,
Your laptop camera has to work. Your laptop has to meet a certain criteria. So before your exam, they will ask you to do a laptop check. If all of the check is completed and some part is not working, which I believe the camera is, you will not be able to use that laptop to work. If you don't have a good laptop, the person will be to borrow one from a friend that has a good one or somebody that you can use for that day and return.
Okay, thank you very much. Secondly, for the renewal, the courses, how much is the courses? How much is the price for those courses?
For those courses, there are some free CEU courses, and there are some free. For instance, if you register with Act This podcast and you listen to their podcast every 2 weeks, you get 0.5 free CEU just by listening for 30 minutes. So those certificates they send to your computer. So in a year, if you have 26 weeks in a year, you already have, I think that is like 13 CEUs, and then in 2 years that is like 26. And I think you need about 26 or 30, if I am right. I think about 30 or so. So the remaining 4 CEUs, I think you can get it with Pinson and Tanks, or there are other free, and then you don't have to have, everything doesn't have to be these CEUs. For instance, I think you have to have like some CEUs that must be ACDI certified, which is the one you can get, and the other one you can get it from your work, maybe from doing anything in Nigeria, maybe all the CEUs that you have in Nigeria, you can add it to it. But the one that is AIMA compliant, I think there are about 20 units of it, which you get 26, which is more than that you get with the ACDIS podcast.
Okay, thank you so much. Does that answer your question?
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, guys, we've come to the end of the program. I just want to appreciate our guest today. Thank you so much. Let me start with Linda. Thank you for being willing to come on the show. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I wish you well on your new job, your newfound love.
Sorry to interrupt you. Congratulations, Linda. I can see the smile on your face. I can see the joy of this job on your face. I remember when I first found CDI, if you see me talking about it, you think I'm the one that created it. You think like it's one new fairy thing that just came from the world. I was always so happy. I'm like, oh my God, there's this beautiful thing in this world. Where have I been all this while? Just like you feel right now, I can understand how you feel, because that was how I felt when I first started. And I hope that this joy continues for you. It is just such a sweet area to work. Like right now I'm at work and I'm still doing this meeting with you guys. Can you imagine? So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yemi. So Linda, we are all happy for you. We're excited for you. We hope that you would also use this medium also to kind of let people on your YouTube as well know about this program, because it's something that a lot of people need to know about it. But we gave you people from DNA, we gave you the first right of refusal or passage. So we've brought it to you. If you want, you can make use of it. If you don't want, it's up to you to leave it or not. But just know that we brought it to you. And then next week, we are going to be doing a virtual hiring event. So we have a company, AMP, is a direct hospital hire here in the US they're going to be hiring people on the spot. So if you have written NCLEX and you have not gotten any agency to come to the US with, we're going to be doing a virtual hiring event here on this program by Friday next week. So come prepared. You might just be landing your first job in the US on this program. So I want to invite you all for our program next week. It's going to be with AMP company, AMP Healthcare. So it's a known company here in the US that they deal on direct hospital hire for all registered nurses. So come prepared on that day. And then coming back to thank our people from Novel Training Services, I want to appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot. We hope that when we call you again to come on this show, you'll be able to oblige us. I know you have a very busy schedule. You're doing this job and you're also, helping a lot of people to transition from bedside to, to CDI. And I know that there's a lot that goes into what you're doing. All I can say is that I ask that God replenish your strength, and I also believe that, you guys are doing a marvelous work when it comes to being parents at home, because I know that you guys are, because of this job, you're able to focus your attention on the kids as well. So thank you all for the good jobs that you're doing. And then to Linda, to everybody who is on this show, thank you for joining us. We believe that you've learned a lot. We believe that you've gotten a value for the time that you spent with us on this program. So join us next week as we bring you our hiring events. And right now, we just want to say thank you, God bless you, and see you next week. Bye, everyone.